Welcome everyone to the PYRESWAP show, sponsored by Pocket. Very great day for you guys to be here. Welcome back to Market Mondays, as we're going to keep calling them. And today we're going to focus a lot on, macro econ as a whole. Maybe take a glance at the crypto market and see any new developments there. And yes, CJ, it is in fact T-neck season. We are necked up in this bitch. I want you guys to see that this rises all the way to the jawline. The only thing missing, I think, to really complete this outfit would be a shoulder holster here underneath this plaid blazer. Yeah, believe it or not, I want you guys to know something. I can't really do the Celsius conversions in my head, but literally like 7 days ago, it was like 96 Fahrenheit here. Today, it's 56 Fahrenheit. That's the magic of Central Texas. That's the magic. Do you guys understand? I think in Celsius, this would be like 15-degree change, something like that. Do you guys, yeah, thanks for the protect your neck reference. 96 to 56, I think that's like 15 degrees in Celsius, something like that. It's like 40 degrees in Fahrenheit. You have to understand, this is going from what 100-degree weather is called, like over halfway to the freezing point. Do you guys get what I'm saying? So like room temperature is 72. Does that make sense to you guys? For those of you international with us, so we basically took 24 from the room temperature and then jumped another. Yeah, it's a lot. Yep. Doing what we can, Pega. Keeping Texas Texan. Okay. But yeah, speaking of keeping Texas Texan, only thing I need to do to complete the outfit is to have an actual gun inside this blazer. Really fulfill that like 1970s era Carlos the Jackal, maybe he's a terrorist type of vibe, right? You guys get what I'm saying? Yeah, anyways, fantastic. Market Monday is in full swing. Now, first thing I want to announce is that we are officially at a 0.7% daily expansion, and all three chains are now caught up. Do you guys get what I'm saying? So, first of all, did you guys know that we actually hit the first epoch where we burned more than we minted? Did you guys know that? That actually happened recently, I think yesterday, in the last 24 hours or so. So we did, in fact, hit an epoch where we burned more than we minted. Now, I want you guys to know, we don't always need to burn more than we mint. We don't always need to. In fact, we just need to burn like a certain fraction of what we mint. And the fact of the matter is, I'm going to go over these equations again before we get into a little bit of market and macro. Inflation is a combination of mint and sell. Does that make sense? Deflation burn and buy. For those of you who remember the supply and demand graph, it's almost like burning and minting is moving in two directions on the supply line, and buying and selling is moving in two directions on the demand line. Can you guys visualize that? Okay, so the fact of the matter is, keep in mind, we always have a bit of buy pressure on Pyre gas. Like, it's always happening in the background. The incantation uses the arbitrage volume to buy it. So by the way, for those of you who are providing liquidity with Bitcoin and Ethereum and AVAX and BNB and Phantom in those low APR pairs, those pairs are kind of what guarantee that this coin has a future. Does that make sense to you guys? We get that background volume. Now, what hung up the Avalanche side was the fact that our liquidity was too dry and our swap fee is too high. So our swap fee being 0.7% is actually a hindrance at this point. Granted, we're not always going to have only that option. We will be branching out to more options in phase 2. More on that much later. But anyways, yeah, if you guys look at the charts now, you can definitely see a flatness. Perhaps you might see more and more reversals of trend begin to be manifesting on the charts. Do you guys see this? Like, tell me if you guys disagree with what I'm talking about right now. Like, tell me if you guys don't see what I'm talking about. Like, that you see more and more green pops on the chart. By the way, speaking of credit, Mr. Andre Cronje has apparently unleashed or announced that he is in fact creating this blockchain bureau, this other type of credit DApp. It based on my I did a very cursory glance of it maybe an hour ago. It doesn't look like it's exactly what we're doing here with the GPSE, but at the same time, it might be a really cool component that we can maybe plug in for later phases of PYRESWAP. Does that make sense? Because he might have built something on a very, very componential level, like a very, very installable level, and we might end up using Andre Cronje's credit DApp. Which one is that? Pyre Phantom? Well, Pega, I would say, where are you looking here? Oh, you're looking on the daily. Yeah, Pega, if you're looking on the daily, it's not going to, yeah, that's going to be, yeah, that's exactly what a daily would look like, in my opinion. Does that make sense? Like, you can see that it was steeper, then it was getting flatter, and now you're seeing pop-ups. Yeah, that's what a daily would look like. I would say go to a more frequent periodicity, and you'll be able to see that the chart is kind of like, how do I describe this behavior? I would call it bubbling or frothing. Does that make sense? Like it's like a stochastic reversal, like a phase change. I know this sounds like gibberish. I know this sounds like I speak magic. But like, again, yeah. I mean, maybe CJ's correct. Maybe that is a velvet rope. Who knows? But arguably the velvet rope should be in the intraday. Yeah, so Pega, that periodicity, at the 4 hours, yes, even at the 4 hours, you can see that the chart flattened, right? Starting to boil, yeah, exactly. Departure from nucleate boiling, or should I say, the inception of nucleate boiling. Yeah, you had a curve like this, then you had a curve like this, then you had a curve like this, and then maybe you're in an uptrend, maybe. Does everyone understand? Does everyone understand with my analysis here? Again, it's minting and selling against buying and burning, right? There's only 4 variables here. Yes, and by the way, like the credit system of the GPSE really is how the humans interpret on-chain activity. Does that make sense? Because in the end of the day, all of these pieces of technology can at best just serve what the human tells it to do. Does that make sense? So at the end of the day, just to reiterate this again, the GPSE as a decentralized credit union, I'm referring to the user base of the GPSE. Like the user base are the members of the credit union. More on that later. But today is Market Monday, and we're going to do a little bit of macro analysis. I think that Monday is one of the best days for this stream because we get to actually talk a little bit about markets as a whole. And the first thing I can talk about here is there's a couple of interesting stuff. So first of all, inflation is back in focus in general with macro, at least in the U.S. economy. I want you guys to know that sad September. Who here remembers sad September? Who here remembers me teaching this before? Possibly harvest selling? Yes. Pega, what a great question. What I can tell you is that the S&P 500 is down so far in September. The NASDAQ and the Dow Jones Industrial Average, they are all down a few points in the first week of September. Additionally, NVIDIA also went down 12% so far in September. Are you guys aware of this? Damn, I'm just bullish today. Do you guys feel this? Do you guys feel that? Like the season changed, the shirt changed, the temperature changed. Can you guys feel it? It must be my zodiac. Yes, CJ, we have outperformed NVIDIA some days. Brilliant. I think that you guys will see us outperform NVIDIA a lot for the rest of the year, actually. But hey, that's just my opinion. I'm gonna be biased. Yeah, like, by the way, we're not increasing emissions again. Like the earliest we would do it is if like every single token is at the midline or something like that. Like you'll definitely see significant changes in trajectory before we increase inflation again. Right now we're going to keep it at this ratio because I think that for those of you who don't know, by the way, I know you guys only want to talk about PYRESWAP. I want to talk about markets, but okay, for those of you who don't know, I just in fact officially published and launched the PYRESWAP Reddit content strategy guide. So we in fact are going to have like a coordinated super team of people that are in fact going to be generating awareness for this project and all of its amazing features on a social media platform that is likely well aligned with who we want in our user base. Making sense? So by the way, that just happened as of two hours ago. 2 hours ago, hot off the press. 2 hours ago. Also, the 0.7 emission rate, also about 2 hours old. Yep, so we are officially at the 0.7 rate. Sad September is self-manifesting, you guys. It's self-manifesting. Whether it's a perception or whether it's real, so far, September looks sad. There's a couple more things I can talk about that later, but do you guys remember what the Fed was going to do in September? We talked about this in August. What was the outlook for the Fed in September? Who here remembers? A rate cut. Maddie, once again, showing off why you have that really cool broom next to your name. That is correct. That is correct. So the market as a whole makes side bets based on like Fed language. They literally listen to the Fed speeches and they analyze it to kind of predict the way they think. By the way, so for those of you who are learning how the coven works right now, I want you guys to understand when a Fed officials make speeches, there are entire sections of large banks that just analyze the transcripts of their speeches in order to figure out what's inside their head. Does that make sense to you guys? Do you guys understand that like the game theory of the coven does involve figuring out what's inside people's heads, even if all you can see is on-chain activity? Are you guys starting to connect these pieces? Alessio, believe it or not, Pyre Phantom does not track that. Yeah. You know what, Tendai, I'm glad you brought that up. Some people think that a 50 BP cut is not actually going to make the markets bullish, by the way, because Tendai, I want you to understand, the U.S. economy is still kind of in a recession, whether or not they believe they are or not. And you got to think of it this way. Tendai, do you remember when the halving happened and we were above like 69K or whatever, we were at 72K, and then eventually we went into this bull trap? Do you remember the bull trap after we hit 72K prior to the halving? For Bitcoin, I'm talking about Bitcoin. Well, CJ, correct. In order to find the ideas, you have to extrapolate it. So it involves a layer of inaccuracy because you're in fact predicting. 100%. You have to extrapolate. Yeah. Yeah, exactly, CJ. So the fact of the matter is, though, there's always a degree of mystery to other humans' behavior, but there's always a degree of non-mystery as well. And it's from balancing perfect knowledge against imperfect knowledge that you kind of develop a risk management strategy that is actionable. I hope that makes sense to you in general. And again, that idea is getting developed right now by Zero Kex and the boys over in the channeler chat. Yes, Tendai, that is predicted, but I want you to understand. What's up, Javery? I want you to understand. Oh, thanks, Tony. Hey, Tony, welcome to the restream. And I see that we are thanks to everybody on restream chatting with us. Back to Tendai, what he's saying about the rate cut. Do you remember the bull trap? Do you guys remember when Bitcoin hit halvening and we were at like $72,000 for Bitcoin? Do you guys remember this? Okay, so that bull trap effect, I was reading this earlier this morning. There are some analysts that say because the market as a whole is in such, I guess you could say, it's not exactly optimally healthy. Yeah, exactly. It's not optimally healthy. It's not exactly in a state of robustness. A 50-point rate cut, you can imagine a 50 basis point rate cut as if you had a whole bunch of sprinters about to sprint a race. Does that make sense? All these banks are lining up to sprint. And if you hit the 50-point rate cut, you can imagine that there's a referee with a starter pistol. Does that make sense? And he's going to offer them the ability to create like billions and billions of dollars of new liquidity to invest into the market. Now, the fact of the matter is, if these banks don't have ideas of where they're going to invest new liquidity, they're actually just going to like fucking buy treasuries with it. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like if the banks don't feel like taking risks, like this new liquidity is not really going to enter the market. Do you guys get what I'm saying? So the market has to be kind of in a position where the banks see opportunities in the market. Like right now, like I just said, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's bearish so far in September. Do you guys get what I'm saying? So the fact of the matter is, like Tendai was saying, Tendai said it will dump at the rate cut. Tendai, I kind of agree with you because I think that if something good is meant to happen and it doesn't immediately result in like sensory feedback of positive news, the market will react to it negatively like a bunch of children that are learning that their birthday party has to get delayed to the weekend. Do you guys get what I'm saying? They'd be like, what? I wanted to have birthday cake on Wednesday. Like, sorry, you have to wait till Saturday. And they go, you get what I'm saying? Like, so the market is extremely childish and visceral, especially when you aggregate it. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like, you tell them, sorry, you can only get one birthday gift. Or sorry, we only have enough for 10 of your friends. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly. So the market always reacts like, even if something's bullish, but it doesn't like fulfill their expectations, they will react bearish to it. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Do you guys get what I'm saying? Anyways, so that's why, in theory, like Tendai is saying, it could be a 50 point cut, and it might not necessarily result in this goddamn. Is it going to reverse the fact that Nvidia just crashed 12% in a week? Like that's a lot. You guys know how much that is? That's like hundreds of billions of dollars. You guys get it? That's like 300 billion or something. I don't know, 200 billion. I have no fucking idea how much it is. But it's over 100 billion in market cap evaporation. And like, if you look at all the numbers for things like real estate and stuff, there's plenty of reasons why a 50 BP cut would not exactly make the market bullish. If they're trying to make it bullish now, this is almost like they're just trying to influence the election, possibly. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like, I don't know why you wouldn't just kind of like. I kind of feel more like a 25 BP cut. Like, I'm personally predicting 25 because September's performance right now, I don't think they're going to just like immediately go half a fucking point, right? 50 BPs. Like, jumping by 50 is a lot, right? I think they're first going to open the door with 25. That's just my prediction. I could be wrong. We'll find out soon, okay? So, the first week of September, the first week of September was the worst weekly return for the NASDAQ 100 since 2022. Did you guys know that? This last week, the worst week in the NASDAQ 100 since 2022, and that was led by a 12% decrease in NVIDIA stock. Now, did you guys know that Jensen Huang is just selling stock every day? Did you guys know this? Jaber, you understand the idea. Yeah, the kids are always disappointed. Yeah. Yeah, it's like you take them to Disney World and it's like, I don't want to walk everywhere. Yeah. You get what I'm saying? You know what, CJ, when it comes to raising kids, I think it's important to teach them to manage their expectations and perhaps be optimists more so than just always looking at the downside. CJ, I consider sometimes that my job on the PYRESWAP show is to just always teach people to see the positive in the GPSE, because we had a huge downtrend in candle action as of recently, and I understand that the way that I view things is not always easily communicable to people that are just watching their D-Bank decrease day by day, but I have to explain that, like, listen, we're not always going to be in this inflationary downtrend, and when that downtrend reverses, you will be holding so much token, you might have even made more money than you realized. By the way, guys, we will also be doing our airdrop of the Genesis 1 tokens within a week or two, something like that. I'm saying we're aiming for it in September. So if you're waiting for the airdrop, we are now starting to see evidence that we might be in an uptrend. We're going to try to go for a week or two in uptrend. Then we're going to do the airdrop of everybody's Genesis V1 tokens. Obviously, we would do this because everybody's more likely to hold tokens when they're in uptrend. Make sense? Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Yeah, so Kia Dezo is working right now on the airdrop contract. It will take those 3 JSON tables that we showed you guys before, and it will just whoosh. It'll give everybody some extra Pyre token. Sound fun? And also that'll be great. Yep. Thank you, Mr. Good Project. Yep. Yes, Maddie. We are aware that there are 2 ones for BNB, and we know which one is the correct one. Yes, we do. We are the ones that did in fact provide that new JSON table. So we are completely correct. We are completely informed of the error in the original Pyre BNB table. Moving on. The Fed is expected to cut rate, obviously, and now this is general. Okay, the Fed expecting the cut rate is generally perceived to be bullish, but it could also underwhelm for the reasons I just talked about with Tendai. There was revisions to the. Okay, I'm gonna tell you guys some other shit, by the way. The June and July labor reports, and by the way, one of the things that you'll hear me criticize commonly is, first of all, looking at employment and unemployment as a macro stat. Does that make sense? Because I think that this stat is so... Okay, I don't think jobs are fungible with each other. Does that make sense? So I don't think that somebody getting hired to be a janitor at a movie theater is the same thing as somebody getting hired to be like a nursing practitioner at a hospital. Do you guys get what I'm saying? I don't think that somebody getting hired to be a lawyer is the same thing as somebody getting hired to be a I'm trying to think of something more like low skill. I can't even think of it. Yeah, a barista. Okay, does that make sense? So when you look at labor stats, it's like, oh hey, joblessness is going down or going up. It doesn't tell you anything about the quality of the jobs, the benefits of these jobs, the relationship between employer and employee. It just kind of puts everything in a single barrel. And the fact of the matter is, you guys know that the dual mandate of the Federal Reserve didn't really get declared until 2012 or so, and it was kind of implicit only since the 1970s. So looking at labor, and by the way, this is looking at employment as a theory is something that was central to an economist named Keynes. Keynes, John Maynard Keynes, who arguably not a bad economist as far as just his level of brilliance, but the level of focus on certain aspects of his theoretics, I think, are partially responsible for things like I think that people used Keynesianism extremely abusively. Does that make sense to you guys? I think Keynes is just interpreted by a bunch of people that are way dumber than Keynes, and this leads to horrific governance as far as economic oversight by government organizations. Does that make sense? I think that Keynesianism ends up creating this environment where all regulatory bills and all deregulatory bills are at this point hardly regulatory or deregulatory, as much as they are just in the interest of to the benefit of special interests. Does that make sense? I don't think that anything that gets passed anymore is anything other than special interests. That's the way that I think that's a product, not by design from Keynes, but the way that these governments worked and the way that they installed Keynes. It was like you installed the wrong program into the wrong operating system, right? The right program into the wrong operating system. Anyways, I'm not gonna get into that. I think that the internet, because the internet is able to transmit information so rapidly and quickly, it makes a lot of things that the government was kind of tasked with, regulating, it makes it redundant. Because if you inform enough of the market rapidly enough, the consumer behavior themselves will change. Believe it or not, do you guys remember Bud Light got boycotted by Kid Rock and a bunch of people that were angry about an influencer campaign? Do you guys remember this happening earlier this year? Do you guys remember Bud Light getting boycotted across America by people who were angry about the social acceptance of a transgender person or something, or whether I don't fucking know the issue. Yeah. But the fact of the matter is, Javery, if you create enough virality around this issue, they were able to get Bud Light, which is Anheuser-Busch, which is InBev, they were able to get them to double over backwards in order to kowtow to their customer base. Yeah. Javery, I would not, I don't even want to remember it because it was that's so ridiculous, and the whole thing was a gigantic misunderstanding. But the the fact of the matter is that that's an example of how the internet was able to regulate the market at a much faster rate than any sort of like bill that needs to go through Congress and the Senate and the president, as it were. Does that make sense to you guys? Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like literally, like a hashtag was fucking getting Bud Light to change the way they operated over, you know, something that was arguably a complete fucking yeah, it was like the whole thing wasn't even real or whatever. But anyways, but that's an example that even with misinformation, the markets can react, right? The markets can self-regulate, or rather the consumers can regulate corporations if they in fact create enough organization amongst themselves. Yeah, Jay, I could give a fuck, you know what I mean? For those of you who know, yeah, exactly. For those of you who know a little bit about me, I'm the executive director of the John McAfee Foundation, and John McAfee's politics were very much aligned with a anarchist perspective. And I'm not saying that I'm a full-blown anarchist, but I think that I love decentralization at all forms of human governance. I expect that humans will always need to be organized in, I guess, what you would consider tribal collectives. But I think that all governance and all things like that, they become more and more effective if the group is smaller and the closer people are to the person that is in charge of protecting their interests. So, you know, like somebody said, bearish on electoralism. Yeah, the fact that you can have an elected representative that you've never met, never spoken to, this person doesn't have to know who you are, and you're just a number to them. I don't think systems like that are functional. I think they will naturally become dysfunctional, and I think that the closer you can make the proximity of the governed to the governing, the more functional the whole relationship will be. And that's also the goal with the Senator Circus, by the way. But more on that later. Okay, now, okay, yeah. So there was a revision to the June and July labor reports that showed that the U.S. economy added 86,000 fewer jobs than initially reported. I'm going to write that down. I'm going to write this in red so you guys think it's bad. Because it is, in its own way. Yeah, okay. Do you guys see this on the board right here? Can you guys read that? Bearish on light beers. I agree as well. Yeah. I think that like that light beer is a teenager drink. I don't know how else to say it. Yeah. Like just I mean yeah. Like figure out how to get past that stage. Yeah. And you know what, you guys, like there's nothing more self-enslaving that exactly. Yeah. College students. Yeah. Like people under 25. Does that make sense? And yeah, I agree with CJ right here. Yeah, bullish on humans, bullish on zero kex. If you're under 25, a light beer is a fantastic choice for you because your motivations are exactly that. But at a certain point, you can in fact, CJ, you know what? Again, you know, to each their own. I would say that light beer is a light beer is like being a tourist in the country of beer. Yeah, you just like go there for the fucking photo op. Yeah. Yeah. There is other types of beer that you would be surprised how much you might like them. To each their own. Hey, I'm not here to sell you beer, but the fact of the matter is that I want you guys to know this, and I know this is true in America, and I assume it's true in every country that's tuned in right now. And again, thank you, Tony, for chatting with us on Twitter. My heart bleeds. Like I truly feel pain where there are men, specifically men, that are effectively like the labor backbone of the country. Like there is like this class of men that are literally like the hand manual laborers of this country. Like they work landscaping, or they work construction, or they work You know, I have no fucking idea, but something that is just generally like physical labor, and all they do is they work that job from the age of 18 to 58 or so. Does that make sense? They work that job until they have to be on disability. Do you guys get what I'm saying? So they literally just destroy their body over a few decades until they can retire from being damaged enough. Do you guys understand this? And every single weekend on the ride home, they go to the gas station because there's nothing matters more than picking up like a 24-pack of light beers on Friday because fuck it, it's Friday, time to pick up a 24-pack. And all they do when they get home on Friday, yep, exactly, beer, scratch-off tickets, and cigs, and then they just spend the weekend working on that, and then Monday morning they show up still kind of drunk to the job site, and they do that for as many years as they can until their goddamn ankles and fucking knees and fucking, shoulders and back go bad, and to the point that they can now be fully retired and just do that 7 days a week as opposed to just once. Does that make sense? And like, it's like this weird comfort trap of like turning a man into into livestock, and people just kind of epigenetically acclimate to it, and it just as a larger goal than making PYRESWAP and the GPSC work, like I just think that like there's just if more and more people could kind of be freed from this own kind of prison. I'm not gonna get all fucking ideological today. It's Market Monday. Let's just stick to fucking technicals. Anyways, June and July job numbers are in fact 86,000 less. I want you guys to understand this is the stuff, by the way, that gets underreported, whereas the June and July stuff will get overreported. Does that make sense? So believe it or not, even financial journalism, for whatever reason, they game this to kind of have like this overswing, underswing to kind of manipulate market emotions. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like nobody's going to tell you that, hey, by the way, we lied in June and July. They're like, oh, hey, we just made a mistake. Sorry. And like, that's just par for the course. Okay, so believe it or not, fear and greed indexes for Bitcoin. Going back to Bitcoin, we have we'll call it the AM, which is alternative.me. This, by the way, is the F and GI. So for AM, they rated today at 26th fear. And coin market cap, they rated it at 41 neutral. Can you guys read this? Let me tilt this. I think I got too much glare on the board. Okay. Can you guys read this? You're not wrong, Maddie. You can read it? Okay. So what's interesting here, by the way, is that I think coin market cap, they also don't necessarily report bearishness. I'm just noticing that. Does that make sense? Like, I've never seen them report anything other than neutral. I think they showed greed a few times. Does that make sense? So I personally think that the coin market cap fear and greed index is deliberately rigged. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Yeah, like I just haven't seen I check it semi-regularly, maybe once or twice a week, and like I just never seen it below a neutral rating. And the thing is, alternative.me has zero problem going fear as shit. Well, CJ, honestly, I would say that their tech isn't fucking intrinsically honest either. Yeah, like it's just like they don't have a reason to give you a... Remember, any type of information that you're getting for free is not like information that's in your best interest, is information in the best interest of the person giving it to you. This is, by the way, this is why we charge, this is why the elastic supply dashboard doesn't update unless somebody kicks the epoch. Yeah, like it's, if the information is valuable to you, then maybe it should cost you something. But if they're giving it to you for free, that information might be an advertisement and not exactly a indication. Do you guys understand? Javery, that is a opaque mystery. They do not reveal that. For those of you who can't see what I'm looking at, Jay asks, how is the fear and greed index even calculated? More selling is more fear. My feelings when the market moves are numb, so I don't even pay attention to fear and greed index. Yes, Jay, I agree. I'm also completely numb to it. And by the way, our goal in the GPSE is to make a crypto economy inside the crypto economy, where we don't even have summer and winter, but rather we can have big summer and little summer. Does that make sense? It's not that I expect things to always be explosive, but rather that there's always some degree of opportunity to be had within the GPSE, within that day, within like a 24-hour period. And I'm just, the goal here is to get the user base to be variegated and diverse enough where that becomes self-fulfilling. Hope that makes sense. Speaking of which, did you guys know that the Federal Reserve does research on crypto? Oh, by the way, Donald Trump says he will charge a 100% tariff on countries that are shifting away from the US dollar if elected. Like, if elected, he will do this. That sounds like him, but honestly, I have no idea like if that's what I would do. Again, it's just something that I saw in the report. I thought it was interesting. If you guys get it, what Trump would try to be doing here is isolating the American consumer base from countries that are not going to support the US dollar. And I think that like in the most short term of like hatchet jobbing the American economy, this might make sense. But arguably, in my opinion, I would just like in Five's opinion, I would just say repair the US dollar. Does that make sense? Because why wouldn't you just solve the beta problem? Does that make sense? Like, why not just make the US dollar stronger? Does that make sense? Because if you make the US dollar stronger, they will readopt all on their own. Do you guys get what I'm saying? By the way, do you guys know that like in the GPSE, we're just gonna deflate our tokens into an uptrend? I'm not gonna tell people that, hey, if I haven't seen you in the Discord for the last 2 weeks, I'm gonna be mean to you when you come back. No. I'm just going to like bait you back. Does that make sense? That would be at least the way that I do it. Does that make sense? Granted, I don't believe the president is necessarily all powerful when it comes to like fixing the instrument, but that is the way that me thinking like a banker would do it. I'm just gonna opine on that. I figured I would just mention it because it's something that's in the. I saw it on the Coin Market Cap landing page today. Okay, so by the way, guys, this is an interesting report. According to the Fed research, according to Fed research, crypto ownership is not growing in parallel with crypto market growth. Did you guys know this? Crypto ownership is not growing this year. Did you guys know that the Fed does research on crypto like all the time? And you know why? It's so they can justify having a gigantic research budget. Yeah. Anyways, Pyre Producer says that's exactly what it feels like. I don't disagree. I will actually show you guys this thing right here. This is from PhiladelphiaFed.org. I have no idea. Let me think how I would even send this to you guys. I can send it to you guys later or something like that. But PhiladelphiaFed.org, if you go look at this thing on CoinMarketCap, this is from Cointelegraph. So Cointelegraph cross-posts to CoinMarketCap. Does that make sense? Yeah, but again, I want you guys to understand something. In order for there to be like real crypto adoption, there has to be like a convincing meta. Do you guys get what I'm saying? When it comes to like meme coins, I think all it takes is a few people, like all it takes is a new user to lose money on 3 meme coins, and they're not necessarily going to get bullish about crypto this year. Does that make sense? Now, by the way, Pyre Producer was saying this before. Right now, one of the reasons the market might not be growing in user base is because nobody has any fucking money. Does that make sense? Do you guys get it? Like, people had more liquidity, or should I say they had more cash on hand back in 2021, whether it was due to stimulus checks or whether it was due to the banks being extremely dovish. So, like right now, while we in theory broke the previous all-time high of 69K, that might not necessarily mean that we have a larger user base. And by the way, in this exact example, I want you guys to know the GPSE also can work like this. We in fact do not necessarily always need to grow we do not need new capital to be brought in order to make things grow. Does that make sense? Like in order to make prices grow. The reason I talk about a 300 daily user target is not because I need 300 people to come in with $1 million. Like, I would rather have 300 people with $100, which would be what, 30 grand, than 3 people with $1 million. Does that make sense? Like, I want you guys to understand something. 300 people with $100 is worth a lot more to the function of this economy than 3 people with $1 million is. Do you guys understand? So what that means to say is, like, we don't need new capital to be brought in, but rather we just need we need enough variety in the user base where the system effectively feels like it's alive in the background, where we have de-individuation of the market. Yeah, you guys get it? Like, so that's what I mean. Like, 300 people, 300 times 100, yeah, that would be like what? 30 times 100 is 3,000, so yeah, that would be fucking 30 grand, right? So, versus what, 3 million? Yeah, this situation is better. I'm not joking. Yeah. Anyways, the fact of the matter is, yeah, like, so you don't necessarily need to you don't necessarily need new users to grow. That's just some sort of, that's how most people think about it. But like, there is situations where that's not true. More on that later. Okay. So I'm gonna actually read this entire Fed report with you guys because I can screen share it, and it's only like 4 pages long. You think I'm hyper-economizing? Well, I think hyper-economizing, CJ, when I say hyper-economizing, I mean that you're always trying to get the most with the least. Does that make sense? But when you hyper-economize, you end up, in the second layer of the game, you end up saturating your value add, because everybody is always trying to get the most with the least. So in that particular game, you might not necessarily be out competing anybody. You're kind of just getting the most average return, if that makes sense. Yep. Anyways, and again, this gets into calculus, but I won't get into that. I'm going to instead talk about this Federal Reserve report. In fact, can I collapse this somehow? There we go. Okay. So I'm going to try to make this slightly. Ooh, okay, Control Plus. Oh, okay, gotcha. Well, I was gonna make it so that the whole thing would be on screen and not obfuscated by my name and face on the screen share. So right there, perfect. Okay, can you guys all see this? Can everybody see this? I mean, I could zoom in here, couldn't I? Yeah, okay. So allow me to take like a long drink of water. Damn, I really over delivered this today. By the way, guys, as you guys know, we're going to start doing short form content. So we are going to have a PYRESWAP TikTok and a PYRESWAP Instagram. Yeah. And we're going to have a PYRESWAP Facebook, and we're also going to have YouTube Shorts getting produced regularly and consistently. The goal is that we output like 20 of these a week. Does that make sense to you guys? So one of the major things that would be turned into short form content is me talking about markets and macro like this. Does that make sense? Because that's the type of stuff that will like do the best as far as being like a value add to the average short form content consumer. Does that make sense? So what I'm getting at is we might start doing a little bit of macro or market analysis like every day. So we might just be doing it more frequently. And yeah, we need to do it more and more. And yeah, Alessio, as it was ascribed to me yesterday, it's kind of impossible to make the theme of this not me, even though that feels kind of weird. Eventually, you know, I want to be able to graduate from it all to the point where the economy and the product is so big that it doesn't necessarily require me to be the gravitational center. But right now, I got to be the one pushing on the boulder the hardest, right? Anyways, back to this. From the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia. Anyways, all I'm getting at is that we might incorporate more market analysis more times a week. We might be able to do stuff like looking at the Phantom, BNB, and Avalanche fucking markets as well. Does that make sense? We could do a crypto market analysis just on the chains we're on. We could do... anyways, yeah. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? We might just have more of this stuff later on. It requires me to do a little bit more... it requires me to do a little bit more research and preparation. But if you guys want me to cover stuff on the PYRESWAP show, you can always DM me a link to an article or anything that you guys feel ought to be covered. Not only does that help save me work of what to cover, but I can also research any questions you have about it and then answer it to everybody. Do you guys get what I'm saying? So if you guys like have a question about any sort of weird finance or econ article, feel free to send it to me. I can't guarantee I'll cover it on the show, but I might, and in which case I might be able to answer, you know, your questions and everybody else's as well. Okay, back to what we're talking about here. We're having a labor, income, finances, and expectations survey, also known as a life survey. What a great acronym. Anyways, so since January of 22, the Consumer Finance Institute has collected information about cryptocurrency ownership from 6 different surveys. All 6 asked about current ownership of crypto, while 3 also asked about likelihood to purchase crypto in the future. Comparing the results with market performance, we've observed a disconnect over the last 2 years between market prices and ownership. While we saw a clear decrease in ownership during the winter of 22, recent growth in the market has not been accompanied by increase in ownership in our survey population. Does that make sense? It's almost like there's a bottleneck effect. Do you guys get what I'm saying? It's a bit Darwinistic if you ask me. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Because in order for the market to grow, all there needs to be is a minority of actors holding things more illiquid. Do you guys get what I'm saying? That's kind of what I think they're implying here. Okay, using Bitcoin daily prices as a proxy for the overall value, we see that the crypto winter reaches lowest point at the end of 22, and prices recovered at a relatively slow pace before rapidly accelerating through March of 2024. Since then, they've remained at or near their 5-year high. Beginning in October 23, CFI collected quarterly life survey data on ownership, allowing us to track ownership rates during a time of market growth. These survey questions are similar to those used in the previous data collections. By the way, during the CFI COVID-19 survey of consumers in 22, we find that while ownership measurably decreased in the price drops, it is not increased at a commensurate pace in the recovery. However, the recent increase in prices does seem to correspond to an increase in percentage of respondents. By the way, guys, again, we need to build Web3 projects that actually fucking help people solve their fucking problems. Do you guys get it? So the fact that somebody can learn to become a banker in a fucking Discord channel, I think that actually has the capability of letting people solve their problems. I don't think that learning how to gamble on a meme coin that may or may not be a scam, I don't think that solves anybody's problems. I think that is in fact a whole bunch of people following the worst part of their impulse and then attracting people who follow the same worst part of the impulse. Do you guys get it? Anyways, so there were some differences in survey collection, but this part is boring. Anyways, the COVID survey asked about cryptocurrency ownership by you or anyone in your household, whereas life asked about the respondent alone. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Granted, that could imply that people who are more likely to say household might have kids or younger people that do deal with it, or maybe a spouse. There are ownership and price changes, blah, 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 blah. Now, here is the chart, right? So you have this figure 1, the closing price of Bitcoin is the left axis here. And by the way, that right there is the blue chart right here. And crypto ownership rates is the right axis in yellow. So you can see that the ownership rates right here in July 24 was 14.7%. They showed 16% in April. Isn't that crazy? So July showed a 2%, or rather 1/8 market decrease. So 12.5% decrease just in 2 months based on who they were surveying. But the fact of the matter is that this right here, granted they only have 6 data points, this literally looks like a downtrend. Do you guys see this right here? The yellow bars, just the tops of the yellow bars. If you can imagine a mental line being drawn here, that literally looks like a downtrend over 2 fucking years. Over 2.5 years, actually. Right? Isn't that crazy? January 1st of 2022. Do you guys know what else was in January 1st? January of 2022? Do you guys know? Pop quiz. Jaber, you're correct there too. CJ, I was going to say the founding of the Senior Circus was in January of 2022. But thank you for the comedic relief. Anyways, future purchase interest. I didn't even read this part yet. While ownership rates and life survey data have not increased in conjunction with rising prices, we do see an increase in the share of respondents who are likely to purchase crypto in the future. So comparable questions were included in the 2022 surveys and the April 2024 life survey, and the results are reported in table 1. So right here, you have this likelihood, right? Likely to purchase, all respondents 18% in fucking January 2022. In October, 10%. So this was dropped nearly by half. In April, they had 21%, not owners by half. So what's interesting is that you can see that among non-owners, there is a market increase in non-owners getting ready to purchase crypto. But by the way, in order for them to purchase crypto, what needs to happen to the non-owners mentally? Like, what type of appetite do they need to feel? Who here knows the word? Yeah, exactly. Risk. Yeah. So in order for non-owners to adopt crypto, they need to feel like they're ready to go to the casino with at least a little bit of money. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Now, in order for them to feel risk appetite, like they have to feel like they have a bit of extra cash. Does that make sense? They can't feel tight. They have to also see that there might be something else there. Do you get what I'm saying? It has to be like in season for them. I guess we'll find out. So like non-owners might be ready to buy because that is a market increase, but they have to feel risk. They have to feel risk appetite. That's just my opinion. Hey, just my opinion, not financial advice. Do your own research. And if you don't have the rest of the economy in this type of bullish outlook, it's hard to say where the non-owners are going to get their money from. Yet, do your own research include our previous reports that blah, 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 blah. Okay, this is boring. Yeah, falling from 18.8 to 10.6%. The next survey to use the purchase intent question was the April 2024, where the current was at its 3-year peak. To be clear, I'm going to show you guys something right now. This is relevant as fuck. Okay. There you go. U.S. inflation calculator. Do you guys want to see? So we're going to go to 2021. Do you guys remember the all-time high of Bitcoin in 2021? Okay, 69K. We'll go 69K, yeah. 69,000, I agree. So if in 2021, I purchased an item, for, what was that number? $69,000? Yep, 69,420. Okay, we'll write 69,420. I'm down with that. We'll put a fucking meme number in there. Okay, what do you guys think the true all-time high is in 2024? Any guesses? It's 80,500. Do you guys know that? In fact, I want you to know, I calculated this 6 months ago, and it was like 79,000. So, believe it or not, it's even crept up another $1,000. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? So, I want you to understand, Bitcoin has not truly broken its all-time high because the dollar has inflated at the most historic pace since Bitcoin's inception. Do you guys understand? This clip right here would make great short form, actually. Yeah, because it's just such a polarizing opinion. But does everyone understand what I'm saying? Like, there's no reason to be bearish on Bitcoin right now, but understand we have yet to truly break all-time high. Everything else before, very speculative bullishness. Obviously, I'm bullish. I am bullish on Bitcoin crossing 6 figures within the next 12 months, personally. But, again, it crossing 6 figures, if it touches 100 grand by December, that would still just be being like 90 grand in 2021. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Or maybe 84 grand, something like that. Everybody follow me? So I just wanted to get that point across. And, yeah. Anyways, this survey I thought was super useful. If you guys want to check it out, It's Philadelphia Fed, and you can find this. I mean, I'll fucking post it later or something. The CFI Sympathetic, blah, 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 blah. Okay. You guys can look at that shit yourself. Okay, it is now 9. Actually, we did pretty good. Damn, we've only done this for an hour? I feel like I've been up here for 3 hours today. We really fire hose the content out today. Anyways, again, we now have our Reddit content factory effectively deployed. So I want you guys to know that, yeah, we are in fact going to be teaching. I'm going to talk about our Reddit strategy now. So in our Reddit strategy, actually, you know what? I'm going to ask for a 1-minute break, and then we're going to talk about our Reddit strategy. Yeah, okay. Give me a black screen for 60 seconds so I can use the restroom. You know what? I'm okay with the fact that I had the mic muted there because that was definitely a joke that was more appropriate for my Discord audience. But anyways, yes, I took a lot of caffeine today, so I appreciate you guys giving me that 2-minute break. Okay, are we back on X with sound? Do we have sound on YouTube and X? Thank you, Seabiscuit. Always the optimist. Fantastic. So we're going to talk about our Reddit strategy because our Reddit strategy, I want you guys to understand, and I want you to know this about me and understand that if there's anything that I might be the best at in Web3, it's really thinking about what I think about and thinking about what other people think about. Does that make sense? Like I'm not the best speaker. I might not be the best influencer. I might not be that, but I'm always thinking about the game theory and thinking about the choices that other people are making in their heads. Does that make sense? CJ, but it's not a telepath. I actually just think empathically. I'm very good at visualizing myself in other people's positions. it's not exactly an emotional type of empathy, but rather I have a really good creative part of my brain where I can think about like, what would I be making a decision about? Like, what would I be thinking about? How would I filter signal from noise if I was them? Does that make sense? Because sometimes I have also in the past had to enter crypto and then figure out the right way and wrong way to pick winners and losers as far as projects go. Does that make sense? So I want you guys to understand something about our crypto, our Reddit strategy for PYRESWAP. There's a couple, I guess you could say, key tenets. First things first, a lot of Web3 projects get this wrong, but your user base is not fungible with each other. Does that make sense? So just because I know Tendai has money in the project, and CJ has money in the project, and Javery has money in the project, that does not make those three guys fungible with each other. Does that make sense? Do you guys get it? Not only are they in three different positions, because, by the way, well, Javery, if you got time in the project, you got money in the project. That's how time value of money works. Yeah, if you guys are spending time here, you're spending money here, and time is a lot harder to get back. So if you're spending time here, I know that they have time in the project. Therefore, yeah, there you go. Snuck. You got snuck. Anyways, they are not fungible with each other. Their value add is not fungible with each other. Like their Discord participation is not fungible with each other. Does that make sense? But that doesn't mean that they're not all immensely valuable and they can even provide cross value to each other. Does that make sense? So your users are all non-fungible users. NFUs. NFUs, you guys, right? NFUs. Does that make sense? So even though everybody brings in dollar TVL, that does not make you. Yep, NFA. Yeah, I should make an NFU emoji soon. Yeah, NFU, right? NFA, you got NFB, you got NFU, right? We should do NFC, non-fungible conjurer. I'm kidding. I'll make one. You know, I will make one for NFU later on. NFUs. And the fact of the matter is that you guys are all unique individuals, right? But the fact of the matter is that you're all also a Homo sapien. Is anybody here not a Homo sapien? You guys are all Homo sapiens. Quit pretending you're not, okay? I don't care if you're a dragonkin or if you're a two-spirit, you are a fucking Homo sapien, okay? Right? Not trying to sound discriminatory, but you do in fact qualify as a Homo sapien. Dr. Mac, that is an amazing word, and I'm going to use that. Yeah, by the way, FOMO sapien. Holy shit, that is so fucking funny. A FOMO sapien, Dr. Mac, is one of the, as well as an alternative name to the marmoset idea. That's great. A FOMO sapien. Brilliant. Fucking brilliant. FOMO sapiens. Guys, I'm glad that term just got born out of this stream because I'm going to use it again when I talk about the Reddit strategy. Yep, not for users buffing. Well, you know what, Zonic? A bot is always a servant of a human user. Yeah, bots do not necessarily show up on their own. I mean, we now are in the age of AI, but I still believe that even AIs are still servants to humans. So your users are non-fungible. Does that make sense? And especially in the GPSE. Does that make sense? Javery, okay, we'll get to work on the memes later, but yes, indeed, I appreciate FOMO sapien being a officially born PYRESWAP slang term. But anyways, so the point being is that if your users are not fungible with each other, I want you guys to understand, you guys all like Discord, but you guys also know, like you guys are also on more than one social media platform when it comes to crypto, right? Would you guys agree? Right? Yeah, Javery, Javery, what's your number 2 social media platform for crypto? If not Discord. YouTube, X, and Discord. Yep. Anybody else? X? Okay. Right? Okay. So the fact of the matter is, though, Javery, would you believe that, like, I never watched crypto YouTube? Like, I never watched it. I only started watching it now that I have YouTuber friends. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to your bunks, right? But the fact of the matter is, I have other YouTube friends too. But shout out to Chris Wright, shout out to Tim Knocker, shout out to a bunch of YouTubers. But yeah, exactly that, right? But yeah, exactly. And the fact of the matter is, though, Javery, understand, though, every single one of you guys, you have an order of preference with the platform you're using. Does that make sense? Do you guys get what I'm saying? So like most of you guys, most of the PYRESWAP user base are very Discord people. But the fact of the matter is there are other guys that are actually Twitter first, Discord second. Do you guys get what I'm saying? You follow me? Okay. Well, ZeroKex, I personally, Telegram is a different bird as well. But yes, you're correct. Telegram is out there as an option goes. A lot of organizations use Telegram. Javery, exactly. And then of course, different projects end up spreading themselves out in different places. But I want you guys to understand, NFUs, and then because of this, understand that the user base, if the users are not fungible, that also means Twitter user base, let's say does not equal Reddit users. Do you guys understand this? Do you guys understand this? So the fact of the matter is, the type of content, I want to see your actual verification if people get it. Yeah, who do we got in all chats? BFU, use Reddit though. BFU. I do not, BTU, British Thermal Unit. Yeah, British Thermal Unit. Yeah. Oh, beginners? Big friendly usurper. Brilliant. Well, brilliant work, ZeroKex. BFU, you mean a newbie? Yeah, big friend. That's hilarious. Okay, newbies, yeah. So newbies do use Reddit, but actually, Maddie, I think that also newbies would also use YouTube. Does that make sense? Right? Newbies might also use Telegram. Does that make sense? Newbies would also use Twitter. Does that make sense? Yeah, exactly. So you're always going to have newbies here and there. Arguably, the hardest place to get newbies is on Discord. Does that make sense to you guys? Right. Now, the fact of the matter is that we're not even talking about newbies, right? Because the fact of the matter is that PYRESWAP is still kind of NFB. Does that make sense? Like, I'm going to be honest. Would you guys agree that even if we're bringing in the Cubbins and the channelers and we now have an incentive to train new people, it's still a bit complicated, right? If you haven't heard of passive staking, don't learn active staking. Do you guys know what I mean? Like, we want people to at least have done passive staking. That really is the fucking requirement. Would you guys agree that if they haven't done passive staking before, they're not gonna, like, do you guys get what I'm saying? Well, CJ, to some people, yes. CJ, some people it will. Yeah. Yeah, some people it'll scare away. But again, CJ, the PYRESWAP user base is not going to be fungible with like a meme coin user base. Do you guys get it? You guys follow me? Yeah, okay, fantastic. So I want you guys to actually think about the details of what a Twitter user thinks about versus a Reddit user, okay? So on Twitter, when you can, what are the ways that you can get social validation on Twitter? What are the ways? When you get interaction. Likes, reposts, follows. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yep, comments, replies, reposts, and follows. And DMs, right? You get those 5 things, right? Now, granted, the fact of the matter is though, when somebody reposts on Twitter, they're taking what you wrote and they're sharing it with their following. Does that make sense? They're broadcasting it. Do you guys get what I'm saying? So Twitter is about like leveraging agreement in order to get, it's kind of like more promotional. Does that make sense? Twitter is very, very explosive, like promotion and shilling. Does that make sense to you guys? Zonic is always misleading you guys on purpose, by the way. Don't listen to Zonic. Yeah, Zonic is literally trolling you guys. But anyways, Alessio, I want you to know we have not even really rolled out of the gate as far as getting new user base. Does that make sense? That is literally starting today, where we now have a system in place for getting new users. Does that make sense? We didn't even have one before. Yeah. So like what I mean to say, Alessio, is that it wasn't just going to be a handful of YouTube videos. We needed constant and consistent pressure. Does that make sense? It's not about it's not about casting a fishing line and then rolling it 4 times, catching 4 fish and then being done. It's about always having the line getting recast and always having the net getting recast and always doing this again and again. Does that make sense? Gate rolling. I don't know what that means, but I'm going to keep talking about the strategy. But the fact is that now we have something that's always happening. And by the way, Alessio and Electronic, you guys can also participate in this strategy. Does that make sense? We're going to make this strategy as open as possible, especially to our devoted and powerful Discord user base. Does that make sense? Like literally every single person who is on the an actual real advocate of PYRESWAP, this is where you're seriously going to see our collaboration yield new fruit. Does that make sense? I know that we could ask you guys in the past, hey, please retweet us, blah, 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 blah. But if you guys only have 82 followers, there's only so much that can do. Does that make sense? Well, Alessio, again, Discord is no longer the meta. Discord is no longer the meta for raising awareness. Alessio, one of the reasons in 2022 that we acquired 5 Discord servers is because I believed that now that I had 5 Discord servers, I didn't need to do any more marketing. Does that make sense? Do you guys get it? I thought, hey guys, we got 9,700 people across 5 Discords. Our marketing is taken care of. I literally believe that because in 2022, I could write 5 announcements and get 300 people to show up. Does that make sense? On Discord. In 2024, that is not the case. Does that make sense? During the Revelation Tour, we had between 200 and 600 attendees, and then a few hundred more that watched the Revelation Tour in 2022. Did you guys know that? Were you guys aware? Discord just had more eyeballs. Even in the circus, a lot of people that were very, very active and passionate about what we were doing in the circus, they sort of just stopped using Discord. It just kind of fell out of habit. It fell out of fashion with them. So the point being is, our Reddit strategy is going to be something that leverages everybody a little bit, even if all you can do is upvote comments. Does that make sense? Anybody with a Reddit account can help. And by the way, according to what PYRESWAP producer told me earlier, it is the easiest account ever to acquire a Reddit account. Yeah, J-Reed. Yeah. So again, Twitter users learning about PYRESWAP is hard because they want it in 140 characters or less. Do you guys get it? Or 280 characters. Does that make sense? Isn't it impossible to learn about this project in 280 characters? Isn't that fucking impossible? I'll be honest. It's not it's not easy to just hear about this. But if you hear about the fucking, the value props of meme coins, they're fucking crazy. Yeah, does that make sense? So it's could this token be the next Doge? Could this token be the next Pepe? It's the #1 community project on Base. And what the fuck are you talking about? This is just complete nonsense slogans, but that's just what they spam to you in a fucking 280 character count tweet. And I want you guys to understand there is a version of the Web3 user base that appeals to. That is the game they want to play. Does that make sense? Nah, I don't want to do too much reading. I just want to know what to throw my next $100 at because I need to gamble and just shoot some dice. Do you guys get it? Do you guys follow me? Yeah. Yeah, literally. So Twitter, it doesn't really, while we have to have Twitter content up, our Twitter content is not so much for raising awareness, rather it helps people through the consideration phase. Do you guys remember the whole marketing funnel thing? Here, I'm gonna see if I can Google it over here and see if I can pull it up screen. Which one do I like? Which one do I like? Which one do I like? Yeah, here you go. This is a good one. Decent enough. Okay. Do you guys see this on my screen here? This is the same funnel that I normally use, but they changed a few labels. Awareness, consideration, conversion, loyalty, and advocacy. Does that make sense? Again, we are very, very strong in the bottom of the funnel. We always have been. The things that need to happen in are the awareness, consideration stage. Does that make sense? Do you guys get what I'm saying? So the Twitter and the Discord, the reason that we have the GM emoji culture in our Discord is because that helps consideration. Did you guys know that? Like, it's my goal that, like, we start getting 20 and 30 and 50 people saying GM to each other in the general chat every day in PYRESWAP and the GPSC and the other GPSC servers, by the way. But, like, when you start getting 50 people saying GM to each other, that's how you know the project's gonna fucking explode. Do you get what I'm saying? We're really 1/3 of the way there, if you think about it, right? Maybe a quarter. Do you guys get it? So the fact of the matter is that Twitter and Discord, and also our chart being now slowly approaching perhaps an uptick, that is going to help the consideration stage. Does that make sense? So what we needed is, we needed our Discord to have its own auto-catalytic consideration machine, and then we needed our Twitters to actually be automated and managed by actual 2 captains who run our Twitters. Does that make sense? And the whole point of this is that, so when people learn about the project and they're in the consideration stage, that we pass all their superficial checks, okay? But the fact of the matter is, Twitter by itself is not necessarily an awareness generator. Like, unless I'm scheduled on new Twitter spaces, we're not really getting a new audience. We're mostly just getting the same audience we already have. Does that make sense? So the fact of the matter is, who are we tweeting for? We're tweeting for people in the consideration stage, so when they visit the Twitter, they see that the content is there and that it's frequent and the project looks alive. Do you guys understand? So the fact of the matter is, though, what are we gonna do now for the awareness stage? Well, as of today, we now have an awareness stage mechanism, and it is our subreddit campaign, okay? And the fact of the matter is, though, we're not going to talk to Reddit users like they're Twitter users. Do you guys understand? Do you guys understand that Twitter content doesn't work on Reddit, and Reddit content doesn't work on Twitter? Do you guys understand why? Correct. Jay, this is why we do the PYRESWAP show. And when we show the PYRESWAP show off to people in the consideration stage, they see, wow, they stream 6 times a week here. That's only a selling point. Does that make sense? Do you guys get it? Yeah, it's only a selling point, right? That, like a project that doesn't do that, this is a unique advantage of what the project offers, right? So the fact of the matter is, though, you have to capture the Reddit user, right? The Reddit user needs a certain type of content. Does that make sense? I'm going to explain this now in detail. So I'm actually going to post this. I'm going to circulate this instruction later this week, probably Wednesday or something like that. Anyways, once we have this a bit practice inside the troop, we're going to get more and more people contributing to this once everybody understands our strategy to this. Because I think deeply, again, about what goes on in people's heads. Does that make sense? So I want you guys to understand something. The Reddit user is not a Twitter user. So if you guys go on Twitter and you look at anything, you're getting shill stuff. Does that make sense? Like, Twitter just shills you right to your fucking face like they're poking you in the forehead, right? Like, Twitter posts shill stuff, people rebroadcast it because once they're in the same position, all they're doing is they're kind of leveraging cross-social proof in order to get more people to shill it so they can pump their own bags. Does that make sense? Yeah, a shill train, or even like a shill web, if you will. Do you guys understand that? Everybody follow me here? Okay. That does not work on Reddit. Do you guys get it? Because, like, people on Reddit, if they wanted that, they would just be on Twitter. Do you guys understand? Like, if somebody wanted that type of content, they would just go to Twitter. Do you guys get it? So Reddit users need a certain type of content and need a certain type of approach. Does that make sense? So I want you guys to understand something. On Twitter, you don't have these insular communities called subreddits. Does that make sense? So there's no content moderation. So anything goes. Does that make sense? And there's no real social shunning. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like the communities and the collectives are all very nebulous and they're not really well defined. So the fact of the matter is, anything that gets any popularity at all, there isn't really any sort of like standard or criteria that needs to be checked for people to put their money behind it. Because people that are trying to gamble and make a quick buck, they will also bet on a project they know has no fundamentals, because all they're thinking about is they're trying to recoup the money they lost from when they were a fucking idiot. Does that make sense? So you end up slowly converting people to being dumber and more iniquitous over time. That's my opinion on Twitter and things. But anyways, obviously, I don't mean that about our Twitter followers. Our Twitter followers are much too intelligent and savvy and discreet to fall for such hijinks and shenanigans. I mean it. Yep. I mean it. Yep. Okay. Anyways, the point being is that like I'm gonna keep that funnel up. But yeah, we have now. I want you guys to understand something. We now have all of the parts of the funnel effectively activated. We did not have awareness activated before. Does that make sense? Like, I was doing the AVAX talk thing and we had a few YouTube videos, but we did not have consistent awareness generation, right? Almost on a smaller scale. But the fact of the matter is that through human organization, we can make these smaller scale awareness generation mechanisms work really, really well if we know who we're fucking targeting, which is the Reddit user. So first of all, Redditors don't like shilling. Think of themselves as smarter. Yeah, take less risks with their opinions. Do you guys understand what I'm saying here? And you can actually zoom in on me, Mr. Producer, and we can drop the funnel now. Do you guys understand this? I'm talking about comparing them to Twitter users, right? Redditors, they don't like shilling, right? In fact, like shill posts just get like, yeah, let's just say we tested it, okay? They think of themselves as smarter. Like, Redditors like feeling that they're like a little bit superior. Does that make sense? They get gatekeepery. Do you guys get what I'm saying? And on top of that, they take less risk with their opinions because on Twitter, nobody cares. Oh, Zero Kex, amazing, by the way, amazing. I like the little Pepe wizard as well. Yeah, amazing little, I don't know if that's a GIF or just an emoji, but we can also add it to the fucking thing. Oh, there you go. Brilliant. We can also make that an emoji in the fucking server too if it's compressible. Anyways, do you guys understand these 3 axioms that I'm putting on the board here? Yeah. And by the way, Trigger or Crypto Cobain, are you here with us today in the Discord? Anyways, yeah. Zero Kex, you can also post that image in the PYRESWAP Twitter content channel inside the Senor Circus server. Thank you. Okay, yeah, I guess, I don't know, I was just saying, okay, if that's good Twitter content, it probably is. Yeah, but that way it's distributable. Okay, so does everybody understand these axioms? Yes. Trigger Happy said yes, or was it Tendai that said yes? Do you guys get these axioms? Redditors, they like to think that they are too smart to buy into an ad. Does that make sense? They think of themselves as smarter, like, you're not going to trick me. At the same time, they take less risk with their opinions. Do you guys know why Redditors take less risk with their opinions than Twitter people? Because you get punished for being wrong on Reddit. Does that make sense? They need upvotes and not downvotes. Exactly. Yeah, you can't downvote a tweet. Do you guys get it? You can't downvote a tweet. Does everyone understand what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly. Or like collection of karma or gold, whatever the fuck that is. Yeah, exactly, exactly. So, effectively speaking, since they don't like shilling, at the same time, they are on Reddit to kind of get research leads. Does that make sense? Yeah, they steal names. Yeah, okay, so they still want research leads. Does that make sense? They still kind of want to learn about new projects. Do you guys understand? They want to learn about projects, but they don't want to be shilled them in a post. Do you guys understand? I'm gonna hear I'm gonna see an actual confirmation. Yep, correct, Maddie. So the fact of the matter is that our Reddit awareness strategy, in fact, uses teamwork. We have, I guess we'll call them content captains. We have 3 content captains that are going to be posting related posts on crypto subreddits. So we have like 23 different subreddits that we can target. And I appreciate you keeping that camera going, by the way. They want to learn about something in a way that feels like peer advocacy. Does that make sense? Peer advocacy. Peer advocacy. Does that make sense to you guys? Now, at the same time, they do like feeling FOMO about things that people are more knowledgeable about than them. Does that make sense? Anywhere that a Redditor sees other users have like a level of knowledge, they will feel a social pressure to go and match their level of knowledge. Does that make sense? Because they are in fact trying to totem pole themselves in this community. Do you guys get what I'm saying? So if if we were in a subreddit right now and Maddie was talking about a project and Tendai was talking about a project, and whether or not they were pro the project or against the project, just so happens they could discuss ways that discuss something about this product, unique about it, a Redditor would feel the pressure to go and add it to their research list just so the next time it gets brought up, they can include themselves in the conversation. Does that make sense? Do you guys get it? Like they're always feeling the need to like, how can I end up, first of all, getting more agreement from my peers? Do you guys get what I'm saying? Right? Like how they can boost their own social score by at least being literate of certain, I guess you'd say, familiarity topics. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Okay, so they're looking for peer advocacy. So the way that our Reddit content strategy works is that we're going to have content captains posting posts that do not mention PYRESWAP at all. Does that make sense? Rather, their posts are open questions. Does that make sense to you guys? Like, it'll be like, is there anything that's not a meme coin getting launched in 2024? Right? Are there new DeFi primitives happening this bull run? Is there any project that has an interesting origin story? Right? Do you guys understand what I'm saying? J-Ray, it's even J-Ray, yeah. You keep trying to front run the presentation here, by the way. And no. Yes. I will explain it and then yeah. The fact of the matter is, they're going to ask open questions. The fact of the matter is that all of these posts, these templates, these formats are in fact avenues for a different user to offer PYRESWAP as an answer to the question. Socratic leading, Seabiscuit, yes. But it's even more so than that. It's actually front-loaded Socratic leading. Does that make sense? It's front-loaded. So the fact of the matter is that they could ask something, and by the way, in the guide I'll show you, I deliberately tell people to offer even-handed risk-free opinions. So if somebody asked, are there any new DeFi primitives coming out in 2024? Somebody could offer is like, the one that I've seen is active staking from PYRESWAP, but the Pyre Phantom chart gives me anxiety. Does that make sense? Not financial advice. Do your own research. Do you guys understand what I just said? So the fact of the matter is, yep. Thank you, Lesio. Thank you. Did you guys hear what I just said? So let's say if Zero Kex asked that question and then Javery wanted to reply to it, Javery could say, I've heard about PYRESWAP, but I haven't read all the documents, right? The chart is a little bit weird, but yeah, the Discord seems active. Does that make sense? When you're on Reddit, every opinion that isn't like clearly I guess you could say a socially accepted opinion has to be offered with extreme disclaimer. Does that make sense? Because everybody who's naturally on Reddit cares a lot about how they are viewed socially. Does that make sense? So they're always making safe contributions to the conversation, right? You guys get what I'm saying? Other Redditors, when they see these answers, and then let's say they see multiple people answer with PYRESWAP, or even other people, Javery, yeah, they're reputationally hedging. They're reputationally hedging. Yeah, like what they're doing is they're trying to show participation, but they also don't want to be seen as wrong. Does that make sense? They might want later on to say, oh yeah, I was the one talking about PYRESWAP when nobody else was. Does that make sense? But again, yeah, does that make sense? Because getting downvoted or being accused of a shill is like social credit down. Does that make sense? So the fact of the matter is that we are literally planting and coordinating our entire user base. Thank you, Tendai. Tendai, I want you to know, in the last 5 months, since fucking June, I literally was a fucking marketing dumbass, and now I could probably write books on how to do it. Like, I have been working my ass off. I probably shaved 10 years off my fucking life. But, like, yeah, literally, Javer, you get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying? So, in order for us to check the box of it appearing like authentic peer advocacy on Reddit, all you have to do is ask an open question, and then just somebody feels like suggesting PYRESWAP because thank you, Winner. And Winner, you're on a list of people that I'm supposed to get back to soon, and I appreciate your patience as well as a few other people. Yeah, they're also on my list of getting back to, and thank you again for more on that later. Oh yeah, and we're also doing short form soon, so I'll talk to you. Yeah, I'm just gonna hydrate. Anyways, so we have content captains that are literally out there asking an open question on a Reddit subreddit. Do you guys know why? Because an open question on a subreddit coming from like a place of disappointment is very, very valid on Reddit. Does that make sense? So somebody asking, hey, is there anything getting launched this year that's not a fucking meme coin? Like, that's the type of Reddit attitude. Does that make sense? They just want to be like slightly jaded, slightly cynical, slightly like, they want to appear slightly discreet, like they have like a palette. Do you get what I'm saying? Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Bravo, bravo, bravo. Yes, and sorry, I took way so. I took a caffeine pill and then never mind. I will. Hey, good morning, Perception. So we literally have a few people asking open questions. Different people answer those questions. They answer in a way that allows a casual and lateral and disclaimer type of reference to PYRESWAP's existence. Does that make sense? Do you guys get what I'm saying? So there's like, oh, are there any new DeFi primitives in 2024? Yeah, exactly. So if Zero Kex was answering this, Maddie could reply, PYRESWAP has active staking, but I haven't heard of anything else. He could say, I heard their tokens are hyperinflated though. Do your own research, not financial advice. That right there feels real. Does that make sense? If somebody else, by the way, once Maddie writes that, we can get person number 3 to say, I love PYRESWAP's documentation because they have so many diagrams, but I feel like the founder might be a crazy person, right? Literally, if you're going to offer a pro, you offer a con. You don't want to actually say that you believe in the project. Does that make sense? Like, this is how Reddit people talk because they can't risk negative social shunning due to them being accused of shilling. So they have to offer everything with a give and a take. Does that make sense? I literally put a PDF together this morning and I blasted it internally to the troop. We are going to get more and more people involved in this because we're going to have 3 people that are constantly making a new Reddit post, which is an open question. Then what we do is we get 4 or 5 people to just go and upvote and comment on it and just kind of offer these like very like half and half opinions or mentions about PYRESWAP. Does that make sense? CJ, but again, I have zero problem with you guys wanting to offer pros and cons. Does that make sense? So you could be like, I think that the founder is just making shit up in his head, and I think that the community matters. You can absolutely write that. Like, I don't have a, like, I don't, I'm quite okay with that type of feedback. Again, these are staged discussions, but not scripted discussions. Does that make sense? Staged discussions. Not scripted discussions. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? Zero kicks. That, you get exactly what I'm saying. Yeah, you get exactly what I'm saying. Yeah. Electronic, yes, but less ironic. Although that might work. That might be hilarious. That might be that might be the most upvoted comment on the entire fucking post. But yeah, that's the idea. And the goal, by the way, is that we're going to start off with 3 content captains. By the way, I'm not going to tell you who they are, but you'll see eventually. I want to eventually scale this to 6. And by the way, you do not need to be in the Senior Circus troop to be a content captain. Does that make sense? Understand, all you got to do is figure out how to... I made this guide and I gave 15 templates for how to ask a question, like an open discussion. And all you got to do is figure out how to throw together one of those posts and then literally post it right here in the PYRESWAP general chat and Discord. And then, anyways, you'll see the fucking thing. Anyways, I literally explained, like, take a Redditor tonality, take a Redditor hedging to how you would fucking discuss something. Yeah. You know, Winter, absolutely. You could say, like, with Winter, here's how you would say it. It's like, I appreciate his transparency, but he might be a crazy person. You could say something like that. Does that make sense? I appreciate his transparency, but he also might be just a give and a take. Yeah, a give and a take. Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Yeah, you could say has one of the most transparent founders I've ever seen, but he's so transparent I feel like he might be a lunatic. Go ahead and say it. I don't give a shit. Yeah. Does that make sense? You can always say, I think the project might be great, but the price chart's at all-time low. Does that make sense? Like, go ahead and say that. A give and a take. Do you get what I'm saying? Because, by the way, all we're doing, we're not trying to convert people on Reddit. We're not converting people on Reddit, right? Let's go back to the funnel. Could I get a zoom in, Mr. Producer? Okay, we are only doing awareness on Reddit. Does that make sense? Reddit is awareness only. Yes, but Winter Horse, it's a good time to enter the project. That should be a conclusion that they arrive to all on their own. Does that make sense? Seabiscuit, again, that is also useful. Does that make sense? I want you guys to understand something. If you guys don't remember anything from this stream, remember this phrase, okay? And by the way, this comes directly from my mentor. Everyone likes to buy, no one likes to be sold. Have you guys heard this before? You guys see it? Electronic, I'll have you know today we are in a turtleneck to celebrate the change in deflation. Does that make sense? We are officially in turtleneck and blazer. Yeah. Correct, Tendai. We are only raising awareness. We are not trying to convert. They have to make their own journey. Does that make sense? They have to go on their own journey. Yep. By the way, we have the works every time emoji in this chat in the Discord. Yeah. The 60% Panther, or what is it? 60% of the time works every time. Yeah, that is also kind of like a risk awareness, a risk analysis emoji. But yeah, anyways, yep. Zero Kex again. That's a great, like, you literally understand the assignment. Zero Kex understands the assignment. By the way, Zero Kex is one of the content captions. So right now, I'll just say this: Zero Kex is the liaison for the channelers, our first class of channelers, which are kind of like in their first week of channeler school. At a certain point, the channelers are going to get better at their job, where Zero Kex needs to hold their hand less, and that's when Zero Kex will do wonders as a fucking content captain. Does that make sense? But I want you guys to understand something. Do you guys know why this will win for us? Because most Web3 projects, if they need something done, they would just rely on technology. Does that make sense? They would just get ChatGPT to post this stuff. Does that make sense? They would just get a chatbot to do this stuff. And one of the advantages the Sandwich Circus has is that we do, in fact, leverage the power of teamwork. Does that make sense? Like, you can get a lot of people to make a small contribution, and many hands make light work. Does that make sense to you guys? So, like, literally, the fact that we're doing this, it's going, not only is it going to appear authentic, it will be authentic. Because, again, these are stage discussions, but not scripted ones. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah, it is a PYRESWAP earworm to say what Tendai said. Everyone likes to buy, no one likes to be sold. Do you guys understand what this means? When people make a purchase decision, they want that to be their decision. Does that make sense? They don't want it placed in their hand. They want to pick it up. Does that make sense? If I was offering you candy and I held the candy like this, your palm has to be held up. If I hold the candy like this, you can reach and pick candy out of my hand. Does that make sense? But if I was trying to place candy into your hand, you wouldn't exactly feel acceptance of it. You would resist that because that's fucking weird, right? If somebody's trying to place something in your hand. Do you guys understand what I'm saying? So, like, converting people is about keeping the palm up and letting them pick the candy. Do you guys understand me? Metaphorically and allegorically? How's our audio? Okay. I don't know what you're saying, CJ, but I appreciate the enthusiasm. But do you guys get what I'm saying? Okay, I appreciate electronic. Anyways, yeah, we're just raising awareness on subreddit. Eventually, by the way, we're gonna start off this week with just getting, like, I don't know, 3 to 6 posts. CJ, again, your enthusiasm is appreciated. I'm just gonna react to it as a, silver lining as I can. We back? Okay. Can everyone see and hear me? Can everyone see and or hear me? Thank you, Fexer. Anyways, so everyone likes to buy, no one likes to be sold. And that's the exact same approach that we're doing on the awareness generation side. Does that make sense? Like, they just need to become aware of it and then enter consideration on their own. So we have people running the Twitter. We have a great Discord chat. Like, have you guys seen other Discord chats? This chat is crushing it as far as Discord chats go. Go look at a fucking L1 Chains Discord chat. Our community beats the shit out of them. Have you guys seen this? By the way, be bullish on the very chat we're looking at. Be bullish on it. Like, you won't see this in the Avalanche Discord right now. Does that make sense? You won't see it in the fucking BNB Discord. Does that make sense? Yeah, be bullish on how great our Discord is. Our GM culture, all these things. Right? We're crushing it here. Our Twitter and our Turkish Twitter are also continuously outputting content. And the fact of the matter is that the more types of content we create, the more of it can get repurposed. So believe it or not, these Reddit posts that end up mentioning PYRESWAP in the replies, they can get screenshotted and turned into Twitter content. Do you guys get what I'm saying? You know what, winner? You know what, winner? That is why we consider it part of the consideration stage. So the Reddit campaign is only one mechanism in our awareness phase. Does that make sense? We're also, I'm glad winner is here, we are in fact going to be chopping up the PYRESWAP show into short form content soon and then blasting it in parallel on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube Shorts. Does that make sense? So we're going to in fact be chopping these up and then also putting them in front of new eyeballs. Yes, we're going to have that automated and fucking motivated, and we're going to be trying to put out 20 pieces of short form content a week, hopefully within 10 days from now. Hopefully within 10 days. Yeah. Make sense, everybody? Yep, so the Reddit content is literally there as a PYRESWAP earworm, and we just kind of create a whole bunch of PYRESWAP earworms in open conversations. Does that make sense? And then generally on TikTok, it's just like you gotta spam it. You get what I'm saying? But arguably, on TikTok, our content is not me shilling PYRESWAP. Our content is me talking about like Market Monday and stuff. You guys get what I'm saying? It's about like figuring out what 45-second clip of this thing can be turned into something that's like valuable for the humans to believe in. Once they subscribe to our fucking TikTok channel, our TikTok account, then they end up getting advertised the platform one way or another. Do you guys get what I'm saying? By the way, I have learned that there's certain words you shouldn't say on TikTok for crypto projects. And winner, I will talk that. I will let you know what I learned later on as far as like words that supposedly get your posts suppressed. Did you guys know that? Yeah, certain words pertaining to crypto on short form are not good words to use. But more on that later. Right now, we're getting Reddit rolled out. I think by the end of the week, we'll be moving at fucking full speed. And I'm fucking bullish about it. Yeah, like literally, it just, I've never spent so much time literally thinking about the details of what it takes to get people from every single stage of the journey. And the fact of the matter is you have to let them take some steps as well. They don't want to be advertised to, right? They want to be marketed to, as it were. Hell yeah. By the way, guys, I mean, chart's looking flat today. I mean, I don't know. Maybe we'll see some sentiment loss. I'm going to make an announcement later to announce that we're at a 0.7. By the way, guys, we are officially at a 0.7 daily expansion. I am pretty confident this will be good enough. Yeah, I think this will be as low as we need to go. If we need to go lower, we will. But I'm pretty confident that next week we might see a weekly uptick. Does that make sense? We might... Certain things that could prevent us from having a weekly uptrend is if there are Genesis deployers that when they see APR cut, they completely withdraw and sell. Does that make sense? So that could be a steep sell. However, I am bullish enough on the fact that a large fraction of the users we do have are diehard and long-term thinkers about where this product is going. Make sense? Well, winner, yeah, I wasn't gonna mention that, but at least you have your own, data set as far as that goes. Anyways, yeah. Do you guys have any more questions? I'm gonna probably go into more and more of the Reddit strategy over the week, and I will also be bringing it up. Yeah. I'll eventually make the document public. By the way, guys, I might spin up another Discord server just for the Reddit campaign. Because that way we can just have like one server where everybody who wants to help on the Reddit campaign can be in the exact same like server. Does that make sense? Okay, I'm not gonna acknowledge what. Yeah, Oh, by the way, one of the comments that I was going to use on Reddit to talk about this project was, the thing about PYRESWAP is that if you read the docs, it sounds really big brain, but if you go to their Discord, it's this weird TikTok influencer posting feet pics with 15 autists clapping for like a bunch of retarded seals. Like, that was one of my preloaded comments. Does that make sense? Because like, oh, interesting. That project is interesting in more ways than one. Do you guys get it? Yeah. Yeah, exactly, Fixer. Yeah. It's like, hey, well, okay, the docs make it look big brain, but if I go to the Discord, it's like feet pics and a bunch of, weird ass autistic behavior. But again, yeah, I mean, that's to be expected. I'm just being honest. But again, you got to give and take. I'm not going to be able to do it too much, but I'm going to focus on making our subreddit actually engage. So I'm going to try to get in the habit of engaging with our subreddit. By the way, guys, once we get our subreddit to 50 subs, we can have the PYRESWAP show automatically posted into it every day. Does that make sense? So we'll have an automation for filling our own subreddit with content. Do you guys understand me? Yeah, Winner, I don't have a problem with you doing it. Like, again, yeah, like I'm just saying, Winner, you might have missed the first part of the presentation, but the whole point is to do a give and a take that are both interesting to the Reddit user. Does that make sense? Oh shit, audio's gone? We lost audio? Oh, okay, hang on. Okay, can you hear me now? Okay, can you hear me now? Okay, yeah. I was sending a phone call to voicemail and then I muted the mic. Anyways, so Winner, if you didn't hear the first part of the presentation, the comments are meant to be a pro and a con. Does that make sense? Right, so like the fact of the matter is, if I wrote it out like this, yeah, like if you wrote this on Reddit, okay, if you wrote this on Reddit, you would say PYRESWAP's docs make it seem real big brain, but if you go to the Discord, it's just a TikTok influencer posting her feet pics and then 15 autistic dudes clapping for her. Does that make sense? First of all, believe it or not, that shows signs of life in both ways. While it's being a give and a take, saying like, oh, that's kind of weird, it also implies that there is a community and the fact that we have TikTok influencers posting feet pics. Does that make sense? Not everybody who's going to show up from that is going to be into feet pics. They just might not believe that it's true. Does that make sense? They might go check it out and be like, wait a minute, it's a big brain project, but also has feet pics in the community. Does that make sense? Everybody's looking for a sign of life at the end. Yeah. Winner, again, it's about exaggerating it. I also said the docs are fucking big brain. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like you exaggerate in both directions because it's an earworm. Also, you have 75,000 followers, right? Winner, you got 75,000 followers? Okay, stop pretending you're not an influencer. Yeah, you're a TikTok influencer and you post feet pics in the Discord. And then 15 guys clap for it. And again, that just sounds like it's funny. Does that make sense? That just sounds like it's a real fucking project. Do you get what I'm saying? Some people might be into feet pics. They'll fucking stampede in, yell their whole fucking mortgage. We won't find out until we tell Reddit about it. Right? You guys get it? Yeah, it's again, when you post comments on fucking Reddit, it's not a blatant shill. You have to again be a peer advocate with a low risk appetite for being wrong. So you would just speak objectively about a few things and then like just to appear knowledgeable. Does that make sense? That is what the Redditor wants. That's their whole MO. So like that is how we meet them where they are in their head. Yeah. Winner, don't stop posting feed pics. God forbid I fucking post this on Reddit and then people will be like, I don't see any feed pics. Does that make sense? Do whatever the fuck your heart desires. But the fact of the matter is that like that right there is a great comment to write on Reddit because it demonstrates from the implication that it's like, okay, well, it's not a trash project, and then also that it has an active Discord. People on Reddit might be interested in both of these. Winner, an unhinged one wouldn't hurt either. Does that make sense? You can be unhinged if you want. Yeah, but also, if you want to spin up a new one, knock yourself out. Yep, okay. Okay, Mr. Producer is in fact, threatening to ban. Yeah, anyways, hilarious. Okay, unhinged makes it more authentic. Yeah, Zonic on the money again. Does anyone have any more questions? Yeah, the reason the banner is up is because we're definitely fucking over our schedule here today. We're almost at a 2-hour mark today. But I hope you guys got a lot of value of this particular PYRESWAP show, sponsored by Pocket. And I hope to be able to talk about the Reddit strategy more in the future. And better things coming soon. And yes, by the way, we may officially be, today was the first day that we burned more than we minted as far as Pyre Phantom goes. I owe a bunch of people some Pyre AVAX in the contest, and I'll be making an announcement later. Thank you so much for coming. Have a great rest of your day.